Hello and welcome to the 31st tutorial in the C++ programming series, and in this part we're going to be looking at function arguments that are passed by value. Basically, function arguments are variables, or they are variables in the function, but you can pass in variables or values to a function within the actual brackets themselves at the end. We've left them empty for now, which basically says when you call a function, you actually pass any parameters in, and if you have two arguments, you have to pass in, well, two arguments. There are sort of ways to get around this, but generally that is the case. The main arguments you have, based on the main values you have to pass in. Also, actually, we'll just go ahead and open up our project and actually just write a function so you can see what it looks like with arguments, and then we can talk about it a little more. So what we're going to do is just get rid of this second. This right here are two arguments within the main function. There's an int argument, and then a constant char argument. Again, if because they'll be of a certain type, you obviously have to pass in data of that type, or it will just be cast to that type. Like maybe an integer, if you pass in an integer to a float, it'll get cast to a float, and so forth. So what we're going to do is create a function called void. We call it math function. Then in here we're just going to put int, then the variable name. I'm just going to put number1, int number2, and these variables that have just been declared in here are local, as in the scope of it just belongs to this function. So if I were to just try and do number1 equals 7, you give me an error, and if we just go to it, it says user when declared or identifier, and it's undeclared because it's only accessible within this function, because it's, like I said, a local variable, and also obviously the data type needs to be specified. And because it's a local variable, when we pass some data in, or if we passed a variable in and we affected the variable in here, you wouldn't change the original value because it creates a local copy. But let's just demonstrate that. What I mean is, if I were to do number1, for example, equals 98, and then in here do int I equals 78, and I do math function, so to call it, do open close bracket, then when in here you specify the two parameters. I'm going to do I, and I'm going to just put an arbitrary value of 7. Now I'm just going to stdc out I std and line I need to put that, and you just need to open up the debug area, and we got a value of 78. And even though it was changed here, it's a local copy, so this number1 is technically not related in any way apart from originally it has the same value as I. But let's just actually do some mathematical function here. This was just to demonstrate the scope of it. What we're going to do is just put a few numbers in, number 5 and 6, and we're just simply going to do std out number1 done by number2, that will be 30, std and line, run it, and we get the result of 30. In a previous tutorial we looked at return types for functions, and like here we got an int main, so this returns an integer value or a variable. As long as it's an integer, it's a-okay. And you can do the same with functions that have arguments in it. That's it for this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to message us at support@sonarsystems.co.uk. The email will be in the description. You can comment on this video or just directly message us via YouTube. In the next part, we're going to be looking at function arguments that are passed by reference. All the required links for source code will also be in the description. And as usual, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice day.